Welcome to Nasdaq Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq, with our annual Singapore Fintech Festival coverage. Organized by the Monetary Authority of Singapore, the Singapore Fintech Fest is on 6th edition, and we're proud to be a media partner for the 4th year in a row. Joining me for this segment, we have Olivier Guillaumond. He's the head of ING Global Innovation Labs and Global Fintech team. Olivier, it's great to have you with us. Welcome to Trade Talks.
Thank you for having me, Jill. It's a pleasure.
Tell us about Fintech and Labs at ING.
Right. So early this year, we started off by creating a department called ING Neo, which is actually where we group all our innovation activities into a specific business. So not only innovation at ING is now supporting the group, but also a specific business area where we aim to have our own P&L. So in that, let's say, collection of innovation activities, we are looking at fintechs in 3 different ways. First of all, when we look into use case or things that we want to improve or accelerate on our journey, we look first of all to partners. So we look into the market and we have a dedicated fintech scouting team that looks for the best fintechs out there to accelerate our journey. When we cannot find those fintechs and when we believe there are still a pain, we basically create our own fintechs. And that's what we do in ING Labs. So that's our ability to do corporate venture building with the view to create value for ING and its clients. And next to that, we have ING Ventures, our investment arm, where we look to take minority investment with a view to either access information that we may not have, take a hedge, or support a commercial partnership that we have with one of those fintechs. So that's how we look into fintech. Yeah.
Right. And what's exciting about the fintech space in Singapore?
Well, there are so many things going on. I think, if you look at what's going on, it's FFF is just amazing. And I think it's a testimony to the government, the regulators who are really fostering that ecosystem and making sure that fintechs and financial institutions are really finding each other. So they are really, let's say, facilitating a lot of very great projects that really stimulate, let's say, this ecosystem. You can think of, Epic Sandbox, for instance, where, those fintechs can basically publish the APIs and FI can just consume. You can think of what we are part of, which is called CheckFin, which is a fintech registry which allows, let's say, FIs to more easily scout for the right fintechs with having parameters verified. Because fintech is a very wide space, thousands of them, so it's difficult for an FI to find the right ones. So that's a place where basically FIs verify, say this is indeed the right parameter for that fintech. So other FIs can rely on that and facilitate their scouting. So that's very very interesting. And I think maybe lastly, Singapore made a constant choice to focus on ESG, right, and to really facilitate that it's a very important topic. So I've launched, I would say, world-leading project around that to create also here ESG registry, because also there data is the key. It's very complex to understand what data can I access. If I want to build ESG initiative or differentiating features, I need to have the right access to the right data, correct data. And also here, let's say, Singapore ecosystem is creating registries, bringing people together to have one common set of standards, one common place where people can just build upon. So that's very exciting. Right. And maybe just as a consequence of that, what you see happening in the Singapore ecosystem is more fintechs coming on from the local soil. And at ING, we have 4 locations for our labs, one of which in Singapore. That's why for us it's very exciting to see this development. So this year alone, we have created 2 businesses from our Singapore labs. One who has been spun out with the support, let's say, and the investment of EDB Ventures, which is actually the investment arm of let's say, the government, if you will, locally. And the other one that we still within ING, so kept by ING, called Blacksmith. So Blacksmith is really in the KYC space, looking to automate CDD files and automate, let's say, the KYC process, where Stemly, the name of the company which was spun out, is really looking at supply chain forecasting. So those 2 examples of, let's say, concrete examples of the result of the stimulation from the Singapore ecosystem.
Right. And Olivier, you brought up a great point before that there are so many different verticals that are associated with fintech, and we're looking for a way to standardize it. So what does fintech look like in the next 5 years? Yeah, look, it's obviously a very good question and very difficult to predict, but I think what we can see is a few trends already, right? So probably there will be, first of all, segment-wise, a few of them will be a real competitor to financial institutions, right? And really be FI in their own right. But most of them will continue to partner with B2B model, right? So really looking to partner with banks, but also non-banks, right? Corporates in general. So that's probably one trend that will continue to accelerate. I am pretty sure there will be some consolidation in that space. There are just too many of them. The money will not be, for free for too long time. So there probably will be
a consolidation move between all those fintechs to have a bit less. And probably as well, you will see them, you will not see them. So it will be very much embedded into proposition of financial institutions as well as corporates. I also believe that in 5 years from now, it will be business as usual for a fintech to be a fintech, which at the same time is a potential for disruption. So I do expect in 5 years' time, fintech to be able to be disrupted, and why not by the Web 3.0 trend, which is now the key theme for this year at SFF.
Right, and that's what I wanted to ask you about when we talk about Web 3.0. It doesn't feel as if that's very mainstream yet, but as I understand it, it's more about having control over your data, or at least having it in a centralized location. And I feel like not only from a technology point of view, but from an ethics point of view, people are really demanding to have more control over their data. And we handle it differently throughout the world. The way the US looks at data privacy, the way the EU looks at data privacy, are two very different things. So I think it's going to be interesting to see how it evolves as fintech looks to standardize it.
Completely. And I think, these decentralized business models, it needs to be constructed. The foundations are just not there, but maybe in 5 years, they might be there. Hence, we might see some disruption coming in where decentralized, let's say, organization might disrupt, fintech, FIs, and players of today. I think it will take some time to have the foundations around, as you just mentioned, taxonomy, ethics, foundational layer, data privacy, security, to give, let's say, the trust around Web 3.0 so that business can start building on top of that infrastructure. So it will take some time. So 5 years may be short, but 5 to 10 years definitely something which we will see coming our way.
All right, Olivier, we appreciate the insight. Thanks so much for joining us on Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.
Thank you very much.